Picture this. You wake up feeling optimistic about the day ahead. You take your morning medication right on schedule, just like your doctor told you to do. And you sit down to enjoy what seems like a perfectly healthy breakfast. Oatmeal with milk, a protein smoothie, maybe some cheese and whole grain toast. Foods that every nutrition article says are good for you, but then something strange happens. Within 30 minutes, your tremors intensify. The stiffness in your limbs feels almost unbearable. And that mental fog you hoped the medication would clear seems thicker than ever. You check the clock, thinking maybe you miscalculated your medication timing, but no, everything was perfect. So what went wrong? Here is the truth that most doctors simply do not have time to explain during a rushed 15-minute appointment. The food on your plate just sabotaged your Parkinson's medication by up to 80%. Yes, you heard that right. 80% of the medication you rely on to function throughout the day can be blocked, delayed, or rendered almost useless by specific food combinations that seem completely innocent. And the most frustrating part is that this information is buried in research papers and pharmaceutical fine print that most patients never see. I have spent the last 12 years working with Parkinson's patients, and I cannot tell you how many times I have seen people struggle unnecessarily simply because nobody explained how their breakfast was fighting against their medication. One of my patients, Robert, a retired engineer from Ohio, spent 2 years convinced his Parkinson's was progressing rapidly. His neurologist kept increasing his medication dosage, but nothing seemed to help. His morning tremors were so severe he could not hold his coffee cup. His afternoon fatigue was debilitating, and he started using a walker because his balance had deteriorated so dramatically. Then during one of our sessions, I asked him a simple question. "What do you eat for breakfast?" He described his routine: a high-protein shake at 7 in the morning because he read that protein was important for muscle health, followed by his medication at 7:30, then eggs and turkey sausage at 8. He thought he was doing everything right, eating healthy and taking his medication consistently. But here was the problem. He was consuming over 40 grams of protein within an hour of taking Levodopa, the primary medication for Parkinson's, and protein is Levodopa's biggest enemy. We made one simple change. We moved his protein-rich foods to later in the day and gave him a carbohydrate-focused breakfast instead. Within 3 days, Robert called me almost in tears. His tremors had decreased by what he estimated was 60%. His energy returned, and he no longer needed the walker for his morning routine. His medication had not changed. His Parkinson's had not magically improved. We simply stopped the food interference that was blocking his medication from working. And this is just one example of how the wrong food combinations can devastate your quality of life. Today I am going to reveal the 3 most common food combination mistakes that are silently making your Parkinson's symptoms worse. And more importantly, I will show you exactly how to fix them starting today. These are not complicated changes. You will not need expensive supplements or specialty foods, just simple adjustments that can dramatically improve how well your medication works and how you feel throughout the day. Imagine waking up tomorrow and actually feeling your medication kick in the way it is supposed to. Imagine having consistent energy levels instead of that unpredictable roller coaster of good hours and bad hours. Imagine reducing your tremors and stiffness, not by adding more medication, but by simply timing your meals differently. This is completely possible, and you are about to discover exactly how to make it happen. Before we dive into these 3 critical food combinations, I would love to know where you are watching from today. Drop a comment below and tell me what city or state you are in. And please feel free to share any questions you have about Parkinson's and nutrition. I read every single comment, and your questions often inspire future videos that help our entire community. Now let us talk about the first and most damaging food combination that is sabotaging your medication. Protein plus Levodopa at the same time. If you take carbidopa levodopa, which is sold under brand names like Cinemet, Rytary, or Duopa, you need to understand something crucial that your pharmacist probably mentioned once in passing, but never fully explained. Levodopa is an amino acid, and here is where it gets interesting. The protein you eat is broken down into amino acids during digestion. These amino acids use the exact same transport system in your gut to get absorbed into your bloodstream. Think of it like a busy highway with only a limited number of lanes. When you eat protein-rich foods close to taking your levodopa, you are essentially creating a massive traffic jam. The amino acids from your food are competing with your medication for those limited absorption lanes. And guess what? The amino acids from food often win because there are simply more of them. This means your medication gets stuck waiting, and when it finally does get absorbed, it is in much smaller amounts than your body needs. Research published in the journal Movement Disorders found that high-protein meals can reduce levodopa absorption by up to 75%. Another study in the Journal of Neural Transmission showed that even moderate protein intake within 1 hour of medication can delay the medication's effect by 30 to 60 minutes. For someone with Parkinson's, 60 minutes of waiting for your medication to work can feel like an eternity. It is the difference between being able to get dressed independently and needing help, between preparing your own breakfast and having to wait for assistance, between participating in a morning activity and sitting on the sidelines because your body will not cooperate. So what counts as high protein that you need to watch out for? Obviously meat, chicken, fish, and pork are high protein, but so are eggs, dairy products like milk, yogurt, and cheese, legumes, including beans, lentils, and chickpeas, nuts and nut butters, protein shakes and powders, and even some plant-based meat alternatives. Here is what makes this so tricky. Many of these foods are marketed as healthy, and they are healthy for most people. But for someone taking levodopa, the timing of when you eat these foods is absolutely critical. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Does this mean I have to give up protein entirely? Absolutely not. Protein is essential for your health, for maintaining muscle mass, for supporting your immune system, for healing and recovery. The key is not eliminating protein, but strategically timing it. The gold standard recommendation from movement disorder specialists is to take your levodopa at least 30 to 60 minutes before a protein-containing meal, or wait at least 1 to 2 hours after eating protein before taking your medication. But here is an even better strategy that many of my patients find life-changing. Front-load your carbohydrates in the morning and save most of your protein for the evening. Let me explain why this works so brilliantly. Most people with Parkinson's need their medication to work best during the day, when they are most active, when they need to get dressed, prepare meals, run errands, or participate in social activities. By eating a carbohydrate-focused breakfast and lunch, you ensure that your daytime doses of levodopa get absorbed efficiently without competition from protein. Then, in the evening, when medication effectiveness is typically less critical because you are winding down for the day, you can enjoy a protein-rich dinner. This approach has an added bonus. Protein-rich foods take longer to digest and can actually help some people sleep better, which addresses another common Parkinson's challenge. One of my patients, Margaret from Texas, was struggling with severe morning bradykinesia. That is the medical term for slowness of movement. She would wake up feeling like her body was encased in cement. Getting out of bed took 15 minutes. Getting dressed took another 30. And by the time she was ready for the day, she was exhausted. When I reviewed her routine, I discovered she was having a protein shake first thing in the morning, thinking it would give her energy. Then taking her medication 30 minutes later, we switched her to a breakfast of oatmeal with berries and a drizzle of honey. She took her medication 30 minutes before eating and moved her protein shake to the evening. Within 1 week, her morning routine time was cut in half. Her energy improved dramatically, and she told me she felt like she had gotten her mornings back. Another important consideration is that some people are more sensitive to the protein interference than others. If you have been living with Parkinson's for several years, if you notice your medication has become less predictable, or if you experience significant motor fluctuations throughout the day, you are likely more sensitive to this protein-medication interaction. Paying close attention to protein timing becomes even more critical as Parkinson's progresses. Before we continue with the second dangerous food combination, I want to pause and ask you something important. What time of day do your Parkinson's symptoms feel the worst? Is it first thing in the morning when that overnight medication gap leaves you feeling stiff and slow? Or is it mid-afternoon when your medication seems to wear off too quickly? Or maybe it is evening when fatigue sets in and every movement feels like you are pushing through mud. This question is not just curiosity. Understanding when your symptoms are most challenging helps us create better strategies for managing them. And I would love to hear from you in the comments. Simply copy and complete this sentence. My Parkinson's symptoms are worst when I try to. Your answer might be exactly what another person in our community needs to read today to feel less alone. Plus, your feedback helps me create future content that addresses the real challenges you face daily. And speaking of our community, if you or someone you love is navigating the daily challenges of Parkinson's and you are looking for reliable information based on science but explained in simple terms, this channel was created especially for you. Here at Beyond Parkinson, we regularly share practical strategies, exercises, and tips that have helped hundreds of people reclaim both small and significant independence in their daily lives. Click that subscribe button now. It is completely free, and you will not miss any techniques that could make a real difference in your quality of life or your loved ones. Now let us move on to the second food combination that is quietly sabotaging your Parkinson's management: iron-rich foods, or iron supplements, plus levodopa. This one surprises almost everyone because iron is essential for health. Your doctor might have even recommended iron supplements if you have anemia, but here is what most people do not know. Iron binds directly to levodopa in your digestive system, forming a complex that your body cannot absorb. It is like the iron grabs onto your medication and refuses to let go, preventing it from getting into your bloodstream where it needs to be. A study published in the British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology found that taking iron supplements with levodopa can reduce medication absorption by up to 90%. 90%. That means if you are taking a 100 milligram dose of levodopa with your iron supplement, your body might only be getting 10 milligrams. No wonder your symptoms are not improving. The foods highest in iron that you need to be aware of include red meat, especially beef and liver, dark leafy greens like spinach, kale, and collard greens, fortified cereals and bread, dried fruits like raisins and apricots, shellfish including oysters, clams and mussels, beans and lentils, and tofu and other soy products. Now, just like with protein, I am not telling you to avoid these nutritious foods. Iron is crucial for preventing anemia, supporting energy levels, and maintaining cognitive function. The solution is all about timing if you take iron supplements. And many people with Parkinson's do because the disease and some Parkinson's medications can contribute to anemia. Take them at least 2 hours before or 2 hours after your levodopa dose. Many of my patients find it easiest to take iron supplements in the evening, several hours after their last levodopa dose of the day. For iron-rich foods, apply the same principle. If you are having a spinach salad or a steak dinner, time it so that it is at least 1 to 2 hours away from your medication. Here is a real-world example that illustrates just how dramatic this interference can be. Thomas, a patient I worked with from Florida, was experiencing terrible medication fluctuations. Some doses would work beautifully, others seemed to do absolutely nothing. His neurologist was puzzled because the inconsistency did not follow any logical pattern. When we did a detailed food and medication diary, we discovered the culprit. Thomas had recently started taking an iron supplement because his last blood work showed low iron levels. His doctor told him to take it daily, but did not mention anything about timing it away from his Parkinson's medication. Thomas was taking his iron pill at breakfast, right along with his morning levodopa dose. On days when he forgot to take his iron, his medication worked great. On days when he remembered the iron, his medication barely worked at all. Once we moved his iron supplement to bedtime, his medication became consistently effective again. Another sneaky source of iron interference comes from multivitamins. Many multivitamins contain iron, sometimes a significant amount. If you are taking a daily multivitamin with your breakfast medication, you might be creating this same problem without realizing it. Check your multivitamin label. If it contains iron, take it at a different time of day from your levodopa, preferably in the evening. Calcium is another mineral that can interfere with levodopa absorption. Though the effect is not quite as dramatic as iron, calcium can still reduce medication effectiveness by forming insoluble complexes in the gut. This means dairy products, calcium-fortified foods, and calcium supplements should also be timed away from your medication when possible. I recommend treating calcium-rich foods similarly to protein, minimize them around medication times, and save them for later in the day. One more critical point about minerals and medication: antacids that contain calcium, magnesium, aluminum can also interfere with levodopa absorption. If you take antacids for heartburn or acid reflux, talk to your doctor about alternatives that would not interfere with your Parkinson's medication, or at minimum, time them several hours apart from your levodopa doses. Now let us talk about the third food combination that is undermining your Parkinson's management. And this one is particularly insidious because it involves foods that are often recommended for brain health. High-fat meals plus levodopa. Fat slows down stomach emptying. When your stomach takes longer to empty, your medication sits in your stomach longer before it can move to your small intestine, where most medication absorption happens. This delay means it takes much longer for your medication to start working, and the peak effect might be lower than it should be. Research in the Journal of Neurology found that high-fat meals can delay levodopa absorption by up to 90 minutes and reduce peak plasma levels by approximately 30%. Think about what this means in practical terms. You take your medication expecting it to kick in within 30 to 60 minutes, but because you ate a high-fat meal, it takes 2 hours to start working, and even then, it does not work as strongly as it should. This creates what doctors call motor fluctuations, those frustrating times when you feel great for a while, then suddenly your symptoms come roaring back. Then the next dose kicks in and you feel better again. It is an exhausting roller coaster. High-fat foods to be mindful of include fried foods like French fries, fried chicken, and donuts, fatty cuts of meat and processed meats like bacon, sausage, and salami, full-fat dairy products including whole milk, cream, butter, and cheese, pastries, cakes, and cookies made with butter or oil, nuts and nut butters in large quantities, avocados, which are healthy but very high in fat, and creamy sauces, gravies, and salad dressings. Again, I'm not saying you can never eat these foods. Some fats, especially healthy fats, from sources like olive oil, avocados, and fatty fish, are important for brain health and overall wellness. But timing matters enormously. The strategy here is to keep fat intake moderate to low in the hour or two before taking your medication and in the hour after taking it. This gives your medication the best chance to be absorbed efficiently for most people. This means having lighter, lower fat breakfasts and lunches when medication effectiveness is most important, and saving higher fat foods for dinner. Let me share Maria's story. She is a patient from California who was experiencing terrible medication wearing off. Her medication would work for maybe 90 minutes, then she would crash. Her neurologist kept shortening the time between doses and increasing the amount, but nothing seemed to extend that working window. When we analyzed her diet, we found that Maria was eating avocado toast with a generous spread of almond butter for breakfast. She thought she was being healthy, and in many ways she was, but she was consuming about 30 grams of fat right before taking her morning medication, was significantly delaying her medication absorption. We switched her to a lower fat breakfast, oatmeal with berries and a small drizzle of maple syrup. She still got her healthy fats later in the day, but not at a time that interfered with her medication. The change was remarkable. Her medication started working more quickly, lasted longer, and she needed fewer doses throughout the day. Here is a practical framework that pulls all three of these food combinations together. Think of your day in zones. The medication priority zone is morning through mid-afternoon, when you need your medication working at its best. During this time, focus on carbohydrate-based meals and snacks that are low in protein, low in iron, and moderate in fat. Good options include oatmeal with fruit, whole grain toast with jam or honey, rice cakes with hummus in small amounts, pasta with tomato-based sauce, fruits and vegetables, and smoothies made with fruit, greens, and a base of coconut water or fruit juice instead of milk or protein powder. The flexibility zone is late afternoon and evening when medication timing is less critical. This is when you can enjoy your protein-rich foods, iron-containing foods, and higher fat meals. Dinner is the perfect time for chicken, fish, steak, beans, dairy products, nuts, and richer foods. This approach ensures your medication works optimally when you need it most, while still allowing you to eat a balanced, nutritious diet overall. One of the most common questions I get is, what if I take medication multiple times throughout the day? The same principles apply to each dose. Ideally, you want 30 to 60 minutes of buffer time before each medication dose, where you avoid high protein, high iron, and high fat foods. This might sound complicated at first, but my patients tell me that after a week or two, it becomes second nature. You start automatically thinking, okay, I will take my medication in 30 minutes, so I will have some crackers and fruit now, then save the cheese and nuts for later. Another question that comes up frequently is about medication that should be taken with food. Some medications do need to be taken with a small amount of food to prevent stomach upset. If your doctor has told you to take your levodopa with food, you can still apply these principles. Choose a small amount of carbohydrate-based food, a few crackers, a piece of toast, or some fruit. Avoid protein-heavy, iron-rich, fatty foods, even for that small snack, and always follow your doctor's specific instructions about taking medication. Let me address one more critical point. Medication effectiveness is not just about what you eat, but also about consistency. Your brain thrives on predictable dopamine levels. When medication absorption is erratic because of food interference, your brain gets unpredictable dopamine surges and crashes. This can actually make symptoms worse over time and can contribute to medication complications like dyskinesia, those involuntary movements that some people with Parkinson's develop. By maintaining consistent eating patterns and consistent medication timing, you help your brain maintain steadier dopamine levels. This often means symptoms become more manageable, and you might even be able to use lower medication doses. I cannot emphasize enough how transformative these simple changes can be. I have seen patients who were convinced they needed to increase their medication, who were worried about disease progression, who felt hopeless about their declining function, and in many cases the problem was not the disease advancing or the medication failing. It was food interference that nobody had properly explained to them. One final strategy that ties everything together: keep a symptom and food diary for 2 weeks. Write down what you eat, when you eat it, when you take your medication, and how you feel throughout the day. Note when your medication seems to work well and when it does not, when your tremors are better or worse, when your energy is high or low. After 2 weeks, patterns will emerge. You will likely see clear connections between certain foods or meal timing and your symptom control. This information is gold. Bring it to your next neurology appointment. Share it with your healthcare team. Use it to fine-tune your eating schedule for optimal medication effectiveness. Remember, living with Parkinson's means you are already dealing with so many challenges, unpredictable symptoms, medication side effects, the emotional toll of a chronic condition. The last thing you need is to be accidentally sabotaging your own treatment by eating nutritious foods at the wrong times. But here is the good news. This is one aspect of Parkinson's management that you have significant control over. You cannot control the disease progression. You cannot eliminate all symptoms, but you absolutely can control when and how you eat to maximize your medication effectiveness. For people with Parkinson's who are seeking better symptom control, more predictable medication response, and improved quality of life, understanding these 3 food combinations that interfere with levodopa, protein and medication timing, iron and medication binding, and fat and medication absorption offers a powerful tool for taking back control. If this video brought you any hope or useful information, I would like to invite you to become part of our support community here on the channel. Living with Parkinson's presents unique challenges that often only those who experience them truly understand. By subscribing to Beyond Parkinson, You will have access to new videos every week with specific techniques for each Parkinson's symptom, from exercises to improve balance to strategies for reducing morning stiffness. Our commitment is to bring content that truly makes a difference in your daily life. Filtered and tested by specialists but explained in simple, direct language, many of our subscribers report that small changes learned here have transformed their independence and confidence. To subscribe is very simple. Just click the subscribe button below this video, and then click the bell to be notified when we publish new content. Remember, you are not alone on this journey, and every step counts. We want to follow and support your progress and celebrations. Every small victory matters, and we are here to help you achieve many of them. Thank you for being with us today, and we hope to see you in our next video. Take good care of yourself.